What's up, everybody? This is Danny. I'm a graphic designer. I design sports content. So whether it be NFL, MLB, NBA, WWE, I love to do it. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a 2K cover. So let's get started with the background. I'm going to use a dark red to fill in the canvas, like a maroon burgundy color. On a new layer, I'm going to grab the radial gradient tool and use this as the glow for backlight. So fill in my canvas. I'm going to set this to 35%, name that glow, and then duplicate the layer. This is going to be a more intense version of the backlight, so I'm going to fill that in 100%. And I have all these reference images pulled up here, so like the 2K logo, 2K22 logo. I'm going to drop a link in the bio for all of these for you guys to grab. I'm going to grab the chain link fence, drag it into my canvas. The first thing I'm going to do is unsaturate the image, Command U, unsaturated, and set the blending mode to, where do I like it? Soft light. And then I'm gonna blur this image. So using Gaussian blur, 5% should be fine. And then I'm going to mask this layer with my glow. So hold Alt with the keyboard, and I'm gonna do a little resizing, duplicate it, just so that it fills in just right. I'll change the opacity to 70%. That's going to be my background. I'm going to merge all these layers and name it background. Now I'm ready for my subject. I'm going to click and drag my character into the new canvas and center him. I'm going to use the align tool to make sure he's perfectly centered and then convert it to a smart object. Now I'm not going to be able to share this picture with you guys in the link, but feel free to substitute this with a UFC fighter, NBA player, whatever you want to do. But with this picture, I'm going to unsaturate the image all the way. And as always, I love playing with the levels. It just makes the image more dramatic. And when you guys are doing this with your images, it's to your discretion. So play around with it. See what you like, what you don't like. My suggestion, make sure it's not too washed out. And then make sure it's not too dark. So after we have that done, we're going to sharpen this. So filter, sharpen, and sharpen. I always like my images to be very sharp. Just gives it a very high quality. So I'm gonna make a new layer, and with the paint bucket tool, I'm gonna hold down Option and select the brightest color in the background. I'm gonna fill in my entire canvas with red, and using levels, I'm gonna brighten up this red just a little bit more so it's not too dark. And I'm going to use the blending mode called Hard Light. That is going to give me the effect to make my character red and still a little bit dark, so I'm going to use levels to brighten it up a bit, a little bit more. And I actually like this. It just makes it easier to see. So this subject layer, I'm gonna duplicate it and put it above my hard mix layer. I'm gonna create a clipping mask and use Command I to invert my layer mask. This is how I'm going to create the lighting effect on the backlight. So go to Hue and Saturation and select Colorize. Put the saturation very, very high. You could even go all the way if you want. And then lightness, bring that down just so it gets brighter. -40 is where I went. So when I reveal the layer mask, you can see how bright it is. And using a brush tool, now our art skills come into play. I'm going to use a very soft brush, very soft and very small. And where all these lighting white, where you see it's very bright, that's where I'm going to fill in my layer and intensify the backlight. It makes a really, really cool effect. I really love how this came out. And I do this a lot with a lot of my images now, where I love backlight. Backlight is just, I think it just makes the image a lot better. So play around with it. There's no formula to adding backlight. Sometimes I like to think less is more. Less backlight. I think one mistake that a lot of people make is too much backlight, or the backlight's a little bit too thick. But very, very minimal is how I go, and you can see on my layer mask how much I used. I'm gonna use a bigger soft brush just to bring in more light on his shoulders. I'm gonna duplicate the subject layer again and put it at the very top. That is going to be just black and white. I'm gonna add a clipping mask, and I'm going to bring white into his eyes. I think that I just artistically like how this came out. And you could do even more, so you could bring out the cross, or other props on his outfit to be white and stand out a little bit. But I only went with the eyes because I'm going for a minimal look. I'm gonna put these layers all in a group and call it subject. I'm actually gonna go back into my background layer and bring out the backlight a little bit more intense, just because on his body the backlight is a little strong. So I want the background to be a little stronger as well. So now I'm going to bring in the 2K logo. Again, I'm going to add all these files into the description so you guys can go ahead and download for yourself. And instead of putting it behind the subject, I'm going to put it into a group because I do have that hard light filter. So it will change the color of the logo. So what I'm going to do is put it in a group and create a clipping mask, and then select my subject, Rey Mysterio. Using Command, I'm going to click, and you're going to see Marching Ants click there. So back to my 2K logo group, I'm going to use Command I to invert it. And the reason I do that, obviously, one, because of the hard light filter, but now it's in a group, so I can move it however I like to. If I need to resize it later, I have it in that group. That is why I did that. And now we're ready to add in our light leak. I really love how light leaks come out. I think it adds a lot to a picture. I'm gonna use the color dodge blending mode. There are other ones that if you want to eyeball it and see which one you like. That is all up to you. And it looks the same as the one in my reference image, but I'm gonna make it more intense and put that in a group, multiply it, create more. So now I'm ready to make my holographic sticker. This could be a tutorial on its own. I'm gonna drop it in this video because it's a big part of video game covers. A lot of video games have holographic stickers on them. I'm gonna put the WWE logo in my canvas, resize it, and then using Command and selecting the logo, you're gonna have Marching Ants. On layer 1, I'm going to press Command J and duplicate my layer. I no longer need this WWE logo, so I'm going to delete it, convert this into a smart object, and then I'm gonna transform layer 1 vertically, and I like how that looks. You're starting to see how it comes out. I'm probably gonna even transform it horizontally as well, and I like how that looks. So back to layer 2, Command L, play with the levels a bit. Using the rounded rectangle tool, I'm gonna hold down Shift and make a square. And I'm gonna bring this behind the WWE logo just so I could center it right. And then using the roundness of your rectangle tool, again, that is to your discretion. I'm gonna go to layer 1 and duplicate that rounded rectangle tool. So this is how it's gonna look. And I'm gonna convert this to a smart object. I like how this looks. Let's name it sticker. And then drag it to our video game cover. Using Command T, I'm gonna resize it. Again, going for a minimal look. I actually made it smaller than the one on the reference image. And then I'm gonna drag and drop my rating. The resolution is pretty low. I found it on Google Images, but it's gonna be small, so it looks just fine when you shrink it. And then lastly, let's put the 2K logo on there just so we're official. You gotta let the fans know who's providing this video game. All right. And that, I'm gonna align it with the 2K logo above, just so it's done a little bit more professionally and a a little more symmetrical as well. So I'm gonna use these rulers just to make sure that's right. Bleed space doesn't matter when you're making digital content, but when you're actually making a 2K cover, that matters because you're printing thousands of copies, millions of copies maybe. And that's gonna be my 2K cover. I'm actually really happy how this came out. I'm gonna be dropping the PSD in the link. So grab it, download it, use it, however you guys wanna do, play with it. It is all yours. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on social media at Danny Digital Season. Twitter, Instagram, I will be there always. I hope to upload again soon. If you have any ideas for me, shoot them my way.